Hi Abbey, you've just finished watching the Promise Ship. What were your impressions?
It was very interesting. There are a lot of things in the film that I didn't know. It's funny, when I think about Costa Rica, I don't think of African people there. It's not the image I have. When I imagine Costa Rica, I think of people that look kind of Spanishy, maybe Latin American, Brazilian, Puerto Rican looking people, but I don't think of my African people. I don't think of them speaking Spanish. I just don't have that image. So that was really enlightening. The fact that Marcus Garvey traveled to all of these countries to find our African people and to see what state they're in. Really, we can sit here and we can talk about the state of people in London or the state of people in the vicinity that we're familiar with, but if we don't travel, if we don't connect with the people around the world, and it's easier now because we have social media and travel is a lot easier as well, and so we can connect with people around the world, we can't truly learn what the solutions to the problems are because we don't know what the problems are everywhere. We can say what the problems are in our small communities that we're familiar with, but we need to connect with those people around the world as well to really get a holistic view of the African state and the state of the African people. It was so sad that the elders weren't able to pass on the knowledge of Marcus Garvey to the youth, and the youth had no idea. The youth that were interviewed had no idea. I think 1 out of the 5 brothers that they asked, yeah, exactly, 1 out of 5 had heard of Marcus Garvey and knew the black style, and even though his legacy is right there in their country. So that was sad, and I think we need to find a solution, a way to connect the elders who have the knowledge with the youth that don't have the knowledge, and the youth that don't even know they don't have the knowledge. Like, it's an awareness. You need to know first what you don't know to be able to seek knowledge. So that was interesting. And then in the discussion we had after the second video, I think people keep on saying that the black community isn't unified. And I think, and they were saying that it was easier in the times of Marcus Garvey because we were just recovering from slavery, we were still going through slavery, so everyone had a problem and life was uncomfortable. I think comfort and having comfort and feeling comfortable is the biggest pacifier there is. And I think once you have a whole nation or a whole people or a whole race pacified, then they don't feel the need to fight. But we subconsciously know how precarious, as comfortable as we may feel in England, in America, we've got a job, we've got a car, we've got a house, as comfortable as we may feel, I know subconsciously we all know the precariousness of our situation.
So the denial,
yeah,
basically.
Exactly, but we know it because I think we'd be more unified. I think the reason why black people don't help other black people come up is because we all know the precariousness of our situation. And I think we believe if I help this person, I know I'm just on the edge of being okay. So if I help this person, it might drag me back down.
So if us as adults are being dysfunctional, it's reflected in our youth.
The apple doesn't drop far from the tree.
This is the problem that we have, because a lot of people like to blame the young people, but us as adults, we need to check ourselves and be honest and look at what's going on out there.
Yep, and take responsibility.
We can't wait for somebody else to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility for ourselves.
So how do you think events like this and what Black History Studies are doing, how relevant is that, or how important is that in moving that agenda along?
Very important. Most other races teach their history. It's not, and they don't wait for schools to teach it. I happened to be involved in I wasn't really involved in it, but I happened to be invited to a scheme set up by the Jewish community, where they hired people from the British Library to teach their youth how to pass on oral history. Now, this is a powerful tool, and we know African history, most of it is oral. It was passed on orally. And we've got the Jewish community who knows that their history is dying out and they're worried, so they're teaching ambassadors from their youth to teach other youth how to pass on their oral history. Now, these are the kind of things we can do, and it's simple, and it's doable, and other races are doing it. We need to teach our youth not just the history of slavery, but the history of when we were great. And a lot of our youth don't know when we were great, so they think being successful is this huge mountain, but they don't realize we're starting from a lot higher than we think we are. We had nations, we had kingdoms, we had trade, we were astrologers, scientists, doctors. So I think if our youth realize that that's where you're coming from, you're not coming from the bottom and no black person's a doctor. No. We were always doctors. We are doctors now and we always were. So you being a doctor is not a big deal. It's not something that is impossible. It's not something insurmountable. You can do it. And if we knew our history and the successes of our history, being successful now wouldn't seem like such a major feat because we've been there. We were there. So I think we need to empower people with positiveness and reinforce our successes as well as being aware of our failures, and then let's help find solutions. We know what the problems are. It's easy to recognise problems, but we really, really, really need to focus on solutions.
So we each need to be part of that solution, I would say.
Exactly. It starts with ourselves. It does definitely start with us.
Thank you, my sister, for those insights.
You're welcome.